Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast, The Para Connection with P.I.O.T. Paranormal. Tonight you're with Schuler, Kaylee, Ryan, and Nate. We're going to have to give a shout out to Jordan. He's not with us tonight. He's taking care of some business, but that's all right. So this week's podcast is going to be about the different manifestations of the spiritual world because as a lot of people know, or some may not know, there are different types of manifestations. You got apparitions, which that can kind of be general, but you have ghosts, you have angels, you have demons, poltergeists, you have residual hauntings, you have intelligent hauntings. Some people even go deeper than that, and they go with like Native American hauntings or, European hauntings or, whatever it is that they want to classify different hauntings with. But, that can go on forever. But
should we read through the list?
We can read through the list, and I think that's what we're going to do. But before we do, we don't want to jump too quick. If you remember last week's podcast, Kaylee was not here with us, which was a terrible, terrible thing. And Kaylee, we were talking about paranormal investigating and the different methods, like how they change over the course of, years, weeks, months, and all that stuff. And I know you're still kind of new to the whole paranormal investigating part, but they do change. They can change. Like different equipment. Different equipment can be put in, or
like
you might have a different approach to it. Maybe you provoked the first year. Maybe the second year you did nothing but respect and no provoking. Different stuff. That's just, general example. But for you personally, let's go back to last week. And I know this is kind of recapping too much, but for you, Kaylee, how would you have thought about paranormal investigating before joining our team?
Loaded question, I think, maybe.
That's all right. Like, what do you expect from it? There we go. What do you expect from paranormal investigating?
Obviously, everything I expected from what I've seen on TV, which I know is not the greatest answer, but that's all I have to go off of because I don't have my own personal experience. Well, in some ways I do, and sometimes I don't. Yeah. So investigations, like how I did it before I didn't do it myself really, but.
Well, let's go in with that. Like, obviously, for your paranormal investigation, like expectations. You thought about TV shows. Okay, so you've been on one investigation with us so far, which that's totally fine. You're still new, but with that one investigation that you've done with us, how does that differ from television now? How has your thought process changed or stayed the same?
In some ways, it stayed the same. I kind of had a level of respect for it in the sense of. I don't provoke things. Like, I'm not a fan of that. We all know about Ghost Adventures.
Oh, yeah. I think
we don't need to discuss that. But, anyway, I think it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Just the whole waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I expected there was going to be waiting involved, but TV very heavily distorts, like, how long it actually takes for something to appear.
Less dramatic, right?
And you never know what you're going to get, especially with a place that you haven't recorded as haunted. Where we went to a graveyard, like a cemetery where, it's like we weren't guaranteed that it was haunted. We were just going to see if we found anything.
Yeah.
So just coming at it from a very level-headed expectation of, like, don't be surprised if you don't find something because not every place is haunted.
Of course.
But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would love for us to like get some more equipment and like, go hardcore at it.
Take different approaches to it.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Motion sensors and tripwire. No, I'm just kidding. Not tripwires. That's not what
we were playing with because we were talking about how we want to get like one of those thermal cameras or whatever the ones that works for. Yeah, full. You know the drill.
Full spectrum. It's okay.
There you go.
Or the Kinect that you and Nate's liked a lot, the Kinect SLS system, like where it has the green laser grid, 3D mapping. Yeah.
Like we were when we were at the cemetery, we were just like, oh, let's try out some apps, like, and we all knew they were going to be garbage.
Oh yeah.
There was one where, oh my word, I can't even remember the name of the app. It was so dumb.
Like Ghost Radar.
It was like it looked like it made your camera screen look like a thermal camera.
Yeah.
But then it'd be like entity approaching, and it would literally be like this skeleton walking to you.
Good God.
I remember when it first popped up, I was like, oh gosh! And then I was like, wait a minute, this is happening again and again.
So it'd be fun for Halloween, but
Yeah. I mean, we knew it was just, they weren't going to do anything, but we were like, let's just see if something happens, like if it works, and it didn't. I like it because it's all about experimenting, and I like that it's like a judgment-free zone, like you're allowed to explore different technologies.
Like you put in different things. It's a plug-and-play experience. I like that, Kaylee. Experimentation, it can do good, or you could get nothing from it, but at least you learn from it, though. So good. So we got Kaylee caught up here from last week and everything. So let's move forward with this week's podcast topic, different manifestations. Different types of manifestations. Nate, I was going to start with you, but I saw Ryan taking notes, and Ryan did a lot of this research. I mean, you both did research. I'm sorry, okay? But
he just printed papers out.
Well, yeah, Nate just printed papers out. You know what? If you guys have something to say, go ahead and say it loud. Let everybody hear what you have to say. Anyways, Ryan?
I'm not saying anything.
So Kaylee's getting sassy over here.
What? I
Dang.
was legitimate.
I'll remember that.
Uh-oh.
But you both did a good job?
No, I didn't hear you.
Then what do you think I said?
Thank you. Can you cut that out?
I don't think so.
I don't think I'm going to cut this out. I didn't cut it out of our fourth episode.
Deal with it.
Ryan, go ahead. What is our first topic of different types of manifestations?
So I think first we need to know what actually is a ghost.
Okay, so a ghost. Let's start with that.
So what do you think a ghost is made of?
Well, I'm going to be stereotypical and say ectoplasm, but not realistically. Realistically, I feel like, quote-unquote, a ghost would be made of like some type of electrical energy, like electricity, like in your lamp. Literally, that's what I think of. I don't know if that's what you would call it, electricity, but I know from my experiences, from my investigations, when I have encountered something weird, like I felt something or I had a scratch on my back, I would get like electrical shock to me. It was kind of like those little pads that you would put on your muscles to massage you, and you would turn on the volume knob to electrocute your muscles. That's what the sensation felt like when I would be touched sometimes. So a ghost or any type of apparition that's, not human, I would feel they're made of electrical
Basically,
energy.
like energy, yes.
Exactly.
Atoms and energy.
Yep.
This was interesting that I also read.
What's that, Nate?
To give you an idea of the energy, a 150-pound person is made up of about 1 octillion atoms.
1 octillion atoms. So that's like 8 trillion? Is that what that is?
Yes.
Regardless.
Regardless. True, yes.
Just for the record,
That's what oct means.
Just for the record, we are not scientists. I know I'm not, so I don't know my numbers like that. Okay. Well, I guess I'm right.
Thank you, Nate.
Thank you, Nate. So, regardless, that's a lot of energy that a human is made of, correct?
150-pound person.
150 pound. Okay, so the heavier you are, the more energy that you have is basically how that's measured.
That would be 16.
16 trillion.
Years old?
From different manifestations. From different manifestations to poundage. Yes.
Goodness gracious.
I just thought that was interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I never thought about that.
I know.
Well, because, if the spirits have... Oh, my God, Ryan.
It's fine. We're just laughing.
Well, I always thought it was
Go ahead,
cool.
Kaylee.
What was it? I mean, this was something that came out decades and decades ago, like where someone supposedly, I forget the guy who did it, but like supposedly, like when you die, you supposedly lose a little bit of weight because, and like they somehow like figure out the weight of a soul is like certain kilograms or something.
Okay.
Well,
the theory is like when your soul leaves your body, you supposedly lose a tiny bit of like weight, like maybe like 1 ounce because your soul left your body.
well, the interesting thing too, to branch off of that, is it also says we know that we are made up of energy, and energy cannot be destroyed.
Yeah.
So
really
just
cool.
because you're gone
Physically,
there's still energy there.
your being as what we are.
Because it's atoms.
Yeah.
That's right.
Another way to think about it too is like if our body was the only thing that really existed, why doesn't someone cease to exist when like their arm or their leg's cut off? Because you can still exist even without that leg physically. I mean, yeah, you can't move your leg physically, but some people have even proclaimed, like amputees, that they have the sensation of having their leg, but when they go to stand, that's when they realize it's not there anymore. So that's kind of a, like Well, like a phantom effect.
But no, it's
Like a
Phantom
phantom
limb.
limb.
a phantom limb.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
phantom limb. Okay.
Yeah. So then they talked about that, like the atmosphere can be electrically charged to
Yes.
give spirits their energy, or like solar flares or solar wind, or even like a full or new moon.
I feel
Okay.
like that explains why like
Spirit.
electronics will like freak out when you're in like a haunted investigation.
Or your batteries drain.
Yeah, like they always talk about how like these have like fresh values in them and they're already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're absorbing that power.
And
Well, the
it's-
energy doesn't just go somewhere.
Yeah.
It can't just. It can't be
It doesn't
destroyed.
just disappear. It has to go somewhere.
Yeah, and then it says the haunting activity is most common during the overnight hours because of the lack of outside sources affecting energy, like light, sound, temperature, and
Okay, so it can be like a disruptor, basically. Like natural energy, all the things that we have going can be like a wall and
Correct, yeah.
disconnect the spirits. So in a sense, that kind of gives an answer to the theory of are spirits more active during the day or night? And when people say, I think the night, that could be an answer of why, because there's less stuff going on, so there's not a big barrier, right, to charge them.
I mean, I would say so, but if you're in the country where there's nobody around you, I mean,
That's
I'm sure you're going to see somebody during daylight
yeah,
or have activity because there's nothing there around you.
exactly.
And I feel like there's something to be said about. I've heard how some people say like it's not necessarily that they're just active at night. It's just that's when everyone chooses to do investigations, and so like no
true.
one bothers to investigate during the day. It
Yeah.
seems, and so we just don't think of it unless you actually live in a house where it's haunted 24/7. Because I mean the hauntings happen like all day long.
That's true.
Like if you talk to these people, and my thinking is it's like. I mean, one possibility is maybe if the activity does happen more at night, like what if it's like similar to bioluminescence where like they store like energy throughout the day and then they like emit it at night or something?
That's a good theory.
That's a possibility.
I like
I mean,
that.
I don't know if it's true or not.
It's a good
but
theory. Yeah, I like
I mean,
that.
because we're
but-
gonna test the theory when we go back to the Monroe house.
Exactly.
We're gonna do somewhat a day investigation to see if we can get anything.
Yes.
Even though the house is within city limits, where you might have outside noise, but we don't know if they're more active during the daytime than the nighttime, because it sounds like they're during construction.
Yeah.
They get stuff.
That's true, right?
Whereas we did at night, we didn't get anything at all.
Well, that's a good point, because you're making me think of two good bullet points to add to that. I recall doing investigations during the day with you guys, like maybe not talking to spirits directly, but being there for daytime footage, and it didn't seem like anything would happen. Like at the Elizabethtown Cemetery, we went around, we walked, we did daytime footage. It didn't seem like we really got anything. Maybe we weren't concentrating enough to look for it. But at night, that's when, Nate would hear that weird foot thing, or Kaylee and I, we heard that weird like ear whisper or whatever happened. And both of those occurrences were at night. But during the day, nothing happened. But I've also talked to people like at my job where they have a son that has his own apartment, and they get stuff during the day and the night. And it's not more during the day or more during the night. It's equal activity during both sides of the day and night. So I don't know. It's a general topic. Like there's so many different flip flops on it.
I think it would be kind of cool if to try like the full and new moon aspects that you're supposed to get more activity.
That or being by a stream, like a running water source, a natural stream, because somehow the water conducts
gives you
energy. Yeah. So that can also power something. Like the Tunnelton Tunnel, there's that river that has, it's a slow moving river, but nonetheless it's moving water, and it's right there by the tunnel that's allegedly haunted, Tunnelton Tunnel. And I mean, our experiences wasn't phenomenal. Like we knew for sure it was like poltergeist activity or, spooky stuff. But I mean, odd things did happen, like sensations, but I mean, it's possible. All right. Ryan again is being Ryan. All right, but yeah, that's really good stuff on that theory. The day and night and the energy about how it can be conducted or how it can be blocked. So, what else you got, Ryan?
So there's, I mean, that's mostly for like what a ghost is.
Okay.
So then you can go into like types of manifestations.
Okay. Yeah, there's a big topic for the night.
Nate has some more on those.
All right, Nate. So for the different types of manifestations, what do you have as the second contender? We just talked about ghosts. What's next? What do you have to say?
So what is a manifestation?
It's a many form. It's a different form of ghost or paranormal phenomenon.
Okay. So there can be multiple forms.
there are multiple.
Yeah, so basically
like
under
20
that,
forms.
you get your poltergeist or your intelligent ghost or...
But I kind of wanted to start toward the back and not do the typical ones.
All right, so it's like Star Wars, starting at the end and going back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, one of them I thought was interesting was a manifestation called bleed through.
A bleed through.
And that's basically the theory of involving a bleed through, which is the past, present, and future, which are all existing at the same time.
Okay.
So, in theory, a bleed through can occur in different settings. So, seeing a soldier on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Like, if you were at an original battlefield and you saw, a period soldier there.
Mm-hmm.
Or watching a doctor treat a person at an old hospital. That's considered a bleed through because that's past, present, and future. So I thought that was interesting when I was reading through this.
Now, how does it break it down on how it manifests as past, present, and future? Like, how does that happen?
It says in if circumstances are right for the situation, there could be a rip in time whereby a past or future event could be witnessed.
Okay, so it could be either past or present, like something that hasn't happened yet. It could be like a kind of like a premonition, but it's not in a dream form. It's like you can see it.
Yeah,
that's really
crazy.
That would be really weird. Like, I don't know, seeing a spaceship or something from the future and hasn't happened yet, but it's going to. But then now seeing it from the past, I know that's like a residual haunting, like seeing someone being hung from 1885 or something.
Well, bleed through is existing all at the same time.
Okay.
So past, present, and future are all at the same time.
So actually, just keeps on. It's like
a loop.
Yeah, so it just keeps on going and going and going.
Yes.
I'm gonna say like a rip, like if you experience like rip in time, like it's almost like how if you saw the Thor movie where like like when everything's in alignment, like it causes things to like interact with each other from like different dimensions.
It's like some Doctor Who type stuff.
Yeah, that's intense stuff.
That's very complex.
So most likely
it gives a good visual of what that would be.
Gettysburg is mostly bleed through.
It could be.
If you're going to see soldiers going through the battle, it just keeps going. It's the same time over and over again.
That's true.
So it's like a loop.
It's interesting.
So another one I thought was interesting was called a tulpas.
Okay.
And a tulpa is known as a thought form. So it's a manifestation of mental energy, which is a mass collective consciousness that becomes a physical manifestation in our current dimension.
Okay.
And they can take on their own behaviors. An example would be Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster.
And then for modern day, it'd be Slender Man.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Or Mothman.
I don't understand.
Okay. Now I understand where it's coming from. Basically, you get a group of people with the same mind thought, and it creates an entity.
Yeah, a thought form.
Now
or folklore.
Or folklore, like a story, pretty much. Now,
it's like a fairy or vampire.
No, it's like
this is saying it's a real living
like
entity,
a really big poltergeist.
But what if it's like a fairy or a vampire?
Basically,
right?
Yeah,
I mean, the same thing.
You could think of that. Yeah.
Like if somebody,
a mythical creature.
If a group of people get together and they believe in something and they were searching for it,
yeah,
that it's going to be a thought form.
So they would basically create a physical creature, right?
Based on their
energy from their mind,
which is why like the Slender Man theory came about, because people were creating this creepypasta, which is like an online website of this character that supposedly would snatch children.
So
how does that go underneath the ghost thing? Because you're not.
It's a manifestation.
Because it's spiritual energy coming from a group of people, and they're creating. So here's a good way to look at it. You're at a round table with psychics, and they're so powerful that they take their mind and they all think about a little gnome or a fairy at the same time.
And it appears.
And it appears on the table from their spiritual brain energy is what I'm getting from this.
That would be a talk.
It's a lot to fathom, like
it is.
Because I mean, it sounds very unreal.
Now the thing is, if they create this thing with their mental invisible energy,
like extraterrestrials.
Exactly. That could be.
People have their own
They can create aliens with that. Yeah. Now these things are supposed to be physical, though, right? After people think about them so much, they become a physical living creature. And now, these creatures, can they interact with people, like actually touch skin to skin? Or if you touch them, would it be like a spirit and go through like a hologram?
It doesn't explain that.
I don't know how much I believe it anyway.
Yeah, that one's.
I think we've talked about this before on a more general topic with Slenderman. It's like a lot of people believe in Slenderman being real. And I'm like, the only way I can believe if someone could see Slenderman as a real entity, like face to face, is if they encountered a demon at a location that's allegedly demonically haunted, and it took on the fear of someone.
Like Candyman.
Exactly. It's like, oh, Ryan, you're afraid of Candyman? Well, here he is. And it's a demon.
Or Charlie with the pencil.
Yeah, with a little kid that's deformed. That's the Charlie. Kind of like Bloody Mary, too.
Okay.
Those would be considered thought forms.
Gotcha.
Well, it's almost borderline like a poltergeist, because like it's almost like it's being brought into existence by everyone's energy coming together to think of this thing. I mean, I know like it's not literally a poltergeist, but it's kind of a similar idea. Like it's manifesting because someone's thinking about it or causing these energy pathways to occur.
Yeah.
Like our spirits are connecting and they're creating something.
Essentially, yeah.
It's just instead of just one person doing it, it's like a whole group of people doing the same thing.
Or the whole world.
I mean, they always talk about how, a whole bunch of people like come together to like make good thoughts happen towards somebody. Like it, supposedly ends up happening, whatever. Could be like that. I feel like is a very dull form of that, because like you're not literally making a physical thing happen, but you got the good idea that the thoughts are being brought your way.
I'm following.
So that could be like angels or Lucifer.
Anything that we don't have evidence on, it could be. I mean, there's no hard facts on like Lucifer or angels or anything. I mean, this is going towards religion, of course, and that can be another whole discussion, debate, and topic. But I mean, essentially, that is true. If there's absolutely no evidence that they're a living entity or creature on their own without someone's mind process, then yes, it could possibly be a tulpist. But who's to say that angels and stuff weren't living before people started thinking about it too at the same time?
So if people stop thinking about it, does it go away?
Does it say anything about that, Nate? That's a good question.
No, but it's almost kind of like a imaginary friend if you think about it.
Just more
as you get older.
Real.
It's not gonna go away because it's in books.
It's true.
It's gonna be written down. It's always gonna happen.
That is true.
Stop reading.
Well, what if people stop believing in it though?
Yeah.
Like they may know about it, but what if they stop believing in it possibly existing or being real? It's like, oh, this is just a scary story that made children go to bed on time or something. See, look, we have so many questions. I love it.
So, since Kaylee, you brought up poltergeist.
Why don't you explain it?
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah,
it is right here.
Yeah, the meaning of it is really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so according to this document, the word poltergeist actually is a German word meaning noisy ghost. So they are considered dangerous, mostly to the people it's impacting. But basically, what it is like people they just emit a lot of, like, someone who emits a lot of emotion, like maybe they have a lot of distress in their life towards something. It's almost like telekinesis. It's like they're manifesting their thoughts into these actions, and so a lot of people who think that they're actually being haunted, they're actually haunting themselves. Because I don't know, if you're just so full of woe and then you hear stuff like something wailing in the next room, maybe you should check yourself. Go to therapy or something.
Oh my god! Tell them, Kaylee.
I mean, I would. Like, I need help.
Me personally, when I've heard poltergeist, and that definition is one that I've heard later on in my years as a paranormal investigator and enthusiast. But before I heard that definition, I thought a poltergeist was like an intelligent spirit or entity that was more malevolent or angry, or that just wanted attention. Yeah, a mischievous entity. Too. And like, because everything that's happening is kind of intelligent, like a door slamming or cabinets opening or an object being thrown around. And my personal experience from some of the investigations I've done, I've had quote unquote poltergeist activity happen, where things were moving around or slamming. And the thing is that the people or the person that I was with, along with myself, we didn't have the type of energy where we felt like we were angry or overly sad or depressed. We were completely neutral. I mean, we were a little excited and like nervous that we were investigating, but we didn't have, in my opinion, we didn't have enough energy to create such a phenomenon. But this stuff still happened too. So
didn't you take something home with you though?
Exactly. Like I did. There's an investigation where I took something home. Yeah, you remember that.
Good.
But I mean, that's a great example. Like I took something home from an investigation, which obviously is dumb, but whatever was attached to it followed me, and I had quote unquote poltergeist activity, like things moving, me being scratched in the shower and stuff like that. Other weird like noises that weren't natural. None of that happened to me my entire life. Even now, after, none of that has happened ever since I took that thing back to that location. So my question is a poltergeist, is that really a person's kinetic energy or like telekinetic energy, or is it more of a intelligent spirit or entity?
See, poltergeist they are the one thing that like it's the hardest for me to get.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the definition changes. It's almost like the miscellaneous category for ghosts. Like if you don't know what it is, you put it in the poltergeist category.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like a lot of people do.
Totally.
Because I used to think it was, like a mischievous spirit that just, for no reason, just wants to make your life miserable.
Yeah.
And it's just for the fun of it. But then, people, you'd have these where it's like, it's not an actual entity. It's just energy doing energy stuff.
Yeah.
Not even necessarily before I even heard about this definition where it's like manifesting from you, it's like just this like residual energy that's just about and that just like decides to knock over your cup. And I'm just like, why would it do that? So I just without an intelligent force to tell it what to do, why would it just do that?
So do you think it's more of for that definition, do you think it's more of like a magnetic pull? Like something natural in the earth, and you just happen to have your house on top of the right area, and that magnetism's just like shifting your house, shifting your cup around or something.
I know the ground can have something to do with stuff, but when it comes to poltergeist activity, it's just a big enigma for me.
It is. I'm right in that same boat with you. Again, Kaylee, it's like that's just, I don't know. I'm always going to think about poltergeists being like an entity of itself, like someone's spirit or a demon or just something nasty, or like she said, mischievous. It may not be evil. It's like, hey, I'm a 13-year-old boy that passed away, and I like knocking stuff over and making people freak out. Prankster. But what about you, Nate? What do you think of poltergeist?
When I think of poltergeist, I think of the movie.
I didn't see the movies, so I'm
from the 80s. The original, right?
I don't watch scary things.
The original?
It's not.
It
wasn't super scary. It was kind of. I don't know. What would you say, Ryan, about the movie Poltergeist?
Yeah,
the original
Ryan.
or the remake?
The original.
Suspenseful kind of thing.
It's more suspense thriller.
It has some dark comedy to it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but no.
People aren't dying all over the place.
No, it's just something in the house that is.
Well, they had their house over a Native American burial ground. So essentially the poltergeists were angry spirits from a Native tribe.
Yes.
So they were their own entity in that movie. They weren't just random kinetic energy or whatever type of energy.
So that's really when I think about it, that's what I...
So you think like I do. You think it's an actual living entity of some sort. It's not just random energy knocking your stuff over.
That's what I kind of feel like. People assume that just because their cupboards are being flown open when they come home, that's poltergeist. Like Kaylee was saying, it's like people will automatically put that in the category.
It has to be more to it to be poltergeist.
Okay.
But like when we were at the Monroe house, they had confirmation that there was Native American tribes in that area and that there were burial sites underneath, which is why he didn't want to dig up the ground. Yeah. And so, I don't know. If they had cabinets open up in there, there could be a connection, but at the same time, I don't know. I only know what I've seen in the movies.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that.
Like, we haven't had our own experiences, so it's really hard to label something like that. Something I feel like keeps changing, like something that's so different every time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, oh, this was a human spirit that's now dead. It's, it's like, what is this?
What about you, Ryan? What's your gist on the poltergeist definition? What do you think a poltergeist really is? Random energy, actual entity of some living thing that passed away, or?
I want to say it's just like a group of energy that's not really associated with anything. Okay. And I think it just.
So it's kind of like.
Does stuff.
To you, it's kind of like wind, just in an energy form that just comes in, and it might knock over a cup, or it might open up a cabinet because there's so much energy coming from maybe a electric tower. And
it can be like a group of ghosts' energy into one, and it just does whatever.
Okay. So not necessarily attached to an entity. It could just be over.
I think it probably depends on how much energy that the entity has, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does depend. That is true.
Because I'm sure an entity can.
Some are strong, some are weak.
Yeah, if they're stronger, I'm sure they can take the other entity's energy away.
Yeah.
So.
Like absorption.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, poltergeist. There's just so many different things that you can attach to that one title, and it, like Kaylee said, Nate and Ryan are being fried, of course. But like Kaylee said, it's something that's changing all the time. And it's just something that you'd have to experience to really be comfortable stating what you truly think it is. And I've had some weird experiences, like I said, from the mental institution that I used to investigate. And I feel like I have experienced poltergeist activity. I believe that they're a living entity of some sort. Whether it's human or not, I don't know. But I don't think it's just random energy. But to each their own, though.
Now, in your case, you brought an object home. So in the way, that's almost like a possessed object.
Exactly.
Which I guess could be considered poltergeist because it's emanating from this thing, but it's also an inanimate object.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a really long ago person came and like put their poltergeist energy on this thing, and it's kind of like holding this residual energy, and wherever this thing goes, that residual energy goes with it. So I guess that could be a poltergeist.
It can like absorb that energy from that person if there's like a lot from that person or whatever, whoever. And it was just a small rock too. It's literally like a rock that you could hold with your index finger and your thumb. That's all it was. It wasn't like a cup or a picture. Huh?
That's your fault.
I got hit with it, and it was my first like real encounter with a weird phenomenon. I'm like, oh my god, it's not just TV.
Didn't you get scratches?
Yeah. It's right after, like that following week that I took that little rock home with me. I was taking a shower the following night, and I got scratched on my back, 3 marks.
Didn't you mention that like the final straw was like you saw like a Coke can lift in the air? You're just like, I'm done.
Oh, I used to collect Monster cans. I thought it was cool, and I put it on top of my bed frame. And don't judge me. Don't you dare judge me. I was cool in high school.
His collection.
Exactly. I still have them. But
well, now I'm worried.
Okay, I don't show them off though. But I'm just a hoarder. Not really. Not entirely. But yeah, I used to put them on top of
Basically, you're in denial.
Are you a doctor? Oh, wow. Richard.
He's certified and everything.
Is that right? Anyways, my monster cans were on top of my bed frame, and I was going to school that day. It was like 7, 8 in the morning because I didn't have to go to school until 9, and I was about to leave to get ready for the bus. And as I was leaving,
the bus?
Yeah.
You don't have a car?
No, I'm too poor for that, dude. You know that.
Wow.
Well, I mean, not anymore, but I mean, back then it was. I mean, I could have drove. I can't rember all those details, right? I'm talking about.
You know how old you were?
No.
Irrelevant.
Sorry.
So you're going.
Well, the stories don't take forever.
So you saw the Coke can rise.
Okay, I was roughly 17 years old. See, I'm getting all the importance here for Ryan because he needs all the evidence. So, all right. So I was getting ready to leave for school. I'll just leave it at that.
Were you under the influence?
No, not that early in the morning.
My God.
Not that early in the morning. And as I was about to leave my room, I had my backpack, I had everything gathered, and I was making my bed. I finished it. I was about to leave, and one of my monster cans literally popped up in the air. It just popped, made a popping sound. It floated up, and it literally floated back down. It levitated back down perfectly from where it was originally sitting. And I just looked at it, and I was like, WTF.
Did you touch the can?
Yeah, I did. I picked it up, and I shook it. I messed with it like, did my parents rig it just to screw with me because they know I'm a paranormal investigator? There's nothing. I'm an only child. I mean, I don't have any siblings to prank me. I didn't have any friends stay the night. It was just me.
So this was after you got your back scratched?
This was after. My back scratch was within the first week that I took the rock home. This was within the third week, and this had happened to me for about a 3.5 week time period, almost a month.
And didn't you have, what's that, sleep?
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah, did you have that too or no?
Actually, I did not. I didn't have sleep paralysis, but I had lucid dreams where when I dreamt, I dreamt like 2 or 3 times of the same dream where I was dragged out of my bed and I was thrown against my hallway walls and the ceiling by an invisible force.
I thought you had
the sleep paralysis was from 2017 when I did the investigation with Nate and
at the library?
Nick at the library. Yep.
So you got rid of the rock because of the monster can rising?
That and being scratched and having the dreams. Oh, and for that whole 3.5 week time period, I felt like throwing up from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. I felt like vomiting every single day, every hour. The only time I didn't feel like throwing up was when I went to sleep. I went to the doctor twice, got checked out, and I was physically healthy. Literally nothing wrong with me. The doctor said the only thing he could do was diagnose me with anxiety and.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
But
I was no more anxious or nervous than I was, like 2 years ago. I mean, I'm normally a calm, chill guy. Even when I am anxious.
It was the rock, when you got scratched in the cocaine? It's like, okay, this has to be the rock I took?
It had to been, because nothing happened before that rock.
Well, I know. I'm saying, did you think that at that time?
Oh, no. Okay. No, I didn't. That's why I went to the doctor twice, because I thought maybe I just caught a bug or something. And I didn't think about that until the second doctor visit, and he told me, Schuler, there's literally nothing chemically wrong with you. You're physically healthy. There's nothing wrong. And I started thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm an idiot. Why have I not thought about this? I've taken papers from, the mental institution. I've taken a rock. I've taken little,
Did you sell those papers?
No, I took everything back. But nothing happened when I took the papers or like other little object. It was only when I took the rock, and the rock was what I got hit with. That was my first poltergeist activity. Was I got hit with a little small rock on my foot, and I'm like, oh, that is so cool. I'm taking that home. And
oh goodness.
Yeah.
You could have been like Baggins and have your own art.
Have a haunted museum.
Oh goodness.
This is my monster can that rose up.
$5. And I need a $10 insurance policy release just to make sure if you guys get hurt, can't sue me. So $15.
So I was doing a little bit more research.
What you got, Ryan?
So there are human-based entities.
Human-based entities. Okay, like human spirits.
Which are your ghosts.
Okay.
And then you have doppelgangers.
Doppelgangers. It's a German word for like a duplicate.
Yes.
That's an actual manifestation?
Yeah. It's where somebody sees.
Say that again.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Doppelgangers?
Doppelganger?
Doppelganger.
The Doppler radar.
Radar is
Doppelgangers.
not Doppler.
Doppelganger.
No, it's not.
Doppelganger.
It's a doppelganger, dude.
Doppelganger.
I want everyone listening to this podcast to write a comment and be like, is it Dopplerganger or Doppelganger?
It's Doppelganger.
Doppelganger.
Doppelganger. What else we got? Ryan, it's our turn to
No, I never heard about that.
Doppelganger.
And I guess the
Thank you.
Doppelganger.
Ganger.
Doppelganger.
Hey, we got this. Doppelganger.
Ganger.
There you go.
Doppelganger.
Like, you're in a gang, and it's dope. Doppelganger.
I'll just call it
I'm sorry.
DG.
There you go.
Oh my God.
So the most famous one.
We love you, Ryan.
The most famous one is Abraham Lincoln. Is famously said to have witnessed his own DG.
Okay. I think I've read that somewhere before. There's a lot of weird stuff that's allegedly happened at the White House or with presidents.
Then you have guides.
Oh, spirit guides.
Wouldn't that be like non-human ghosts though?
Which is what one of our
a previous investigator
friends does.
Yeah.
She has a spirit guide when she asks her spirit guide questions.
Yeah.
Spirit guide
Yeah, we had a previous investigator for the listeners out there that allegedly has a spirit guide that she is able to communicate with, more easily than most are. But that's something I've heard before. It's not a first for me. But doppelgangers also, they're known to be a more malevolent and negative type of entity from articles and stories I've been told and read. But spirit guides are more known to be a positive entity that you can communicate and that you'd want to see?
A doppelganger is German for double goer.
Double goer. Basically a copy, right?
Biologically related look-alike or double of a living person.
Okay.
So deja vu.
Kind. Yeah.
In modern times,
it's like seeing your twin, basically. It's like seeing yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, like when my friend says like, "Oh my gosh, I saw your doppelganger at the mall yesterday." It's like someone who looks just like you, supposedly to this person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the casual way of using it. In the ghost term, I've never heard it used before. So
I've known it to be like articles have stated as like a demonic entity that takes the form of you to cause harm to others. Or if you see your doppelganger, it's supposed to represent that you'll die soon or something.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And then you have your non-human entities, which are angels, demons, demonic poltergeists, shadow people.
Ooh, shadow people.
Parasitic entities.
Parasitic entities.
That's a lot of stuff.
So supernatural entities that leech the energy of their host.
Okay.
So those that suck the energy out of you.
Gotcha. Okay, so that would be like an incubus or a succubus. Those are like demonic entities that are known to attack you during your sleep, and they absorb your energy while you're sleeping. It's known to be like a female and or male devil.
So, okay, when you read the poltergeist, I guess there's two different types of poltergeist.
Okay.
There's demonic poltergeist, and then there's psychic activity poltergeist.
Okay.
Which would probably be the person.
Yeah, those are the two that Kaylee and Nate were talking about, like the psychic poltergeist.
So the psychic is more manifestation of emotional turmoil or stress.
And that's the one that makes the most sense to me. I don't even know how else you could have a poltergeist.
Demonic poltergeist. That's the one that I think I encountered from that mental institution. Yeah. It was terrifying. Especially when it's in your own home and you can't escape it. And that's supposed to be like your safe haven.
Oh,
you know, I mean, what the hell are you supposed to do? That's why I like our team to do what we do when we help people for free, or we listen to people, because, I mean, literally, no Ghostbuster reference, and, well, pun intended. Who are you going to call? You know what I mean? Are you going to call 911?
Not us.
Oh my God. Don't say that, Kaylee.
Just kidding.
But no, like, if you call 911, I mean, they're going to throw you in a psych ward, or they're just going to be like, don't call 911 again, or we're going to arrest you for, false whatever.
People just question your authenticity and your whole, like, sanity.
Exactly. So people like us, we're kind of like that 911 for people that do experience stuff like that in their home, and they have nowhere to escape. Because I know when I was dealing with that stuff, I didn't know who to call. I didn't have Reverend Mike Schroeder to call for advice at the time. I didn't have another paranormal team to say, hey, can you come over and help me? I'm new at this. I made a mistake. Help me out. I literally had to spend that month figuring these things out myself. The only thing I did was pray and take that crap back.
Did you ever think about putting like a camera up or something?
I didn't, because half of me said it wasn't paranormal, and the other half of me didn't have that type of like equipment. I didn't have a good battery life on the camera I had at the time. It wasn't night vision. I can't sleep with the lights on either. So I mean, I know. Did
you ever try the Ouija board?
Hell no.
Don't do that.
No, that'd make it worse.
You're no fun.
I mean, this is also 2012. This is only like the second year that we were doing it. So I was still amateur. I didn't think about all the what ifs or what could I do. I should have.
That would have been such an opportunity.
It would have.
To be around 24/7.
Oh my God.
Not to mention scary.
If I could go back and get that rock now, I think I'd do it for another month. I'd be like,
it's probably still there.
Comes our evidence. Yeah, but everything's caved in because they demolished the underground tunnels and the entire 148 acre.
So did you throw the rock back, or did you place it back?
I went to the women's ward of the mental institution, and we went down into the basement level of the place, and I went to one of the two boiler rooms where it led into the tunnel system. I got the rock from the tunnel system from the Bar Treatment Center, which is a surgical ward of the mental institution. I didn't go that far. I didn't care. I just wanted to go back to the land. I went to the women's ward. I threw it down into the boiler room. The first one, I said my prayers. I said, take it, keep it, stay away from me, don't come back with me. And that was it. And I left the papers down there too.
Yeah. Very lucky.
Hey man, when you experience it, when it's like in your home, it's something else. And Kaylee's right. I am very lucky, because what if I did that and it still stayed with me? What would I do then?
There's stories of that happening.
Yeah, probably. It'd be like Mellowberg. He's a YouTuber that has poltergeist activity all the time. Go ahead, Kayla. I'm sorry.
No, that was all I had to say.
Like, no, but for real, you made a good point. I am lucky. Because what if it didn't go? What would I do? I mean, the next step I would know to do is to get,
give to your parents.
That, oh my God.
Pass
no.
By the way,
kind of like
I
that,
hate this neighbor.
Here's this little treasure for you.
Oh, no. I think about, like, baptism. I mean, then I'd start getting into religion, spirituality. Like, I've gone to the doctor twice. He was looking at me like I'm crazy. And I've taken everything back. I've said prayers. What next could I do? I would be baptized. I'd start going to church more. Exorcism, but I'm not technically, officially, anything of a Catholic, so they'd probably not take care of me.
You could put the rock inside the Bible.
Maybe that'd do something.
I don't know.
That was the place.
Oh, yeah, for the record, the mental institution that we were fortunate enough to investigate was Central State Hospital in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Large.
It was a very large facility. Sadly, they had the primary men and women's castle buildings, which they call the Seven Steeples. They had those knocked down by 70s, so they only had like individual brick buildings from the 70s on. So we didn't get the cool buildings, but I mean we still had something.
They were thieves.
Yeah.
Like
Yep. That's them. Industrial brick. Yeah. It was a very interesting place, and that is basically what started and kept everything going for me as a paranormal investigator. If I didn't go there and experience what I have, I would probably be just as skeptic as you, Ryan. Like, seriously. I'm not joking. Like, if I didn't experience the crap that I did there, honest to God, I'd be like, well, I'm still waiting for it not to be TV. Like, for real. It's crazy. So, along with that, you were talking about demonic poltergeist, and you were talking about like kinetic psychic energy poltergeist. What else was on that list with all those other manifestations?
That was it.
Oh, that was it? Doppelgangers?
Well, the non-human one.
Non-human ones. Oh, there we go. What about, we can go into a couple categories on this.
Oh, and the shadow people.
Oh, that's another, thank you. Look, Kaylee, she's saving us.
I think the shadow people is another podcast show.
Oh, dude, we could do
shadow people?
We could do like several parts to that one. But we should do a general synopsis of what we think about it. But let's start with non-human. We got 3 types. We have angels, demons, and animals.
There's more than that.
There's more than that, Kaylee? What else you got for us?
Well, I have stuff for you.
We might actually have to make this a second parter.
Well, if you happen to watch the second podcast where me and Sheila were talking about my experiences, I mentioned things like celestial beings. I mean, for me, I guess that's what I told him. Like, I call things just because, like, that includes things like spirit guides, angels, just because, like, it's like my bucket word for things that, like, don't make sense.
Yeah. No, I get that, yeah.
I just made
Seriously.
up a word. I'm like, because, like, the ones I've had experience with, one is, like, angel related, one is fairy related. And it's not like I sought these things out. They were just, like, they're my spirit guides. And, like, there was one where I'm trying to be quick about it because I want to take up the whole entire thing.
You're right.
Like with one of my guides, like he's like the protector, so he's kind of around. Like he's the one I feel like the most.
So you can have multiple, Kaylee?
You can have multiple guides. That's what they say. I'm still learning about it too.
Okay.
He's like the protector, and like he's the one that I've actually physically seen. Like that's the only spirit I've ever been able to see, and that's because, like, during one of my meditation classes, it was to, like, meet your spirit guides, and this is the very first time I'm ever doing this, like, meeting a spirit guide kind of thing, and so I was like, I don't know what to do, and, like, they say to, like, ask it to, like, tell what your name, like, what its name is, and to, like, reveal that through the week somehow to, like, confirm that is its name, that you're not just making this crap up. And for me, but, like, instead of me, like, I asked it its name, and it told me, but I was like, it was like hiding behind a shroud or something, and so I was like, I want to see you, I want to see your face, and it showed me supposedly in my meditation, and then I was like I guess I asked to see it or something, like, ask for evidence throughout the week, and then like 3 days later I had like, I don't know if it's like 3 days later, but it was like a Wednesday, I had this dream where like, it's, how like a nightmare scares you so much that you wake up out of fear, like this one, like it was filled with so much love that I woke up because I was like, this is really cheesy. Yeah. And like I woke up and like he was right there, and like I closed my eyes, and the second I opened it, he was gone. And it was insane. But then the other one with like the fairy thing, the only kind of confirmation I've ever had with that is, through my meditation, like I found out her name is like Helena.
Yeah.
And then like a couple years later, like I went to like a psychic or whatever, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, there's a fairy on your shoulder," and she said her name.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've literally never spoken that name out loud, so it's like, how on earth?
She gave you that confirmation. Yeah.
It was just the weirdest thing, and like with that one, it's like the fairy spirit. She's like the one that comes out when like being sarcastic, or like having like fun, playful banter or whatever.
Gotcha. So celestial beings is the first installment of non-human spirits or entities, and from what you're saying, it can be humanoid-like, angelic-like.
And supposedly they've never been human. So like an angel is somebody who's never been human. Like fairy's never been human.
They're their own species.
Because like supposedly spirits can like be reincarnated and stuff.
Okay, that makes sense.
So Tinkerbell's not real.
Maybe not. Maybe not the name. Not the name.
I'm not going there.
Not the name, but the entity. It's race. It's people.
Tinkerbell.
Wow. No.
So if you think about it, fairies kind of fall in the category of cryptids, like cryptozoology. But you're calling them a celestial being. So maybe they're just two different types of names from two different types of people, but essentially they're the same thing. They're a non-human entity.
And I mean, since it's a spirit guide, I'm assuming I've literally never searched fairies ever. Like,
yeah.
I just know that that's her name, and she's kind of like a fairy-ish kind of spirit, like kind of like a warrior-like spirit.
Okay.
Like rough, tough kind of stuff. But I don't know. For me, it's like I never realized what I was feeling until I ran into a human spirit and felt the difference.
Yeah.
Like with the celestial, it's like there's an awness about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's just like so much, like 10 times brighter, and to the point where like when I met the human spirit, like, it took me a few times to like realize I'm actually like feeling something because it was so dull.
Yeah.
Because it's just a human spirit. It's not like
different energy levels, right?
Insane, yeah.
It's like putting your hand on a small electrical box compared to like a full power generator.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, if we want to
Sure.
break it down like that. I mean,
let's go that route.
Let's not try it. But.
I don't know. So like that's for me, like that hits home just because.
Yeah.
That's what I've had the most experience with.
Okay. What do you guys think about when it's non-human entities? Celestial beings? Demons? Angels?
I've never come across a demon, so I don't.
Let's let Nate talk. He hasn't talked for a while.
He hasn't talked for a while, yeah.
He's been quiet.
Come on, Nate, stop trying to sleep.
I'm not sleeping. I've never really thought about it.
Yeah.
Good answer.
No, I'm serious.
And honestly, I wouldn't have either. Like stuff didn't happen to me. Like it's kind of like with you. It's like,
yeah.
Would you still be investigating if you hadn't had that poltergeist activity?
That's true. I honestly don't know if I would or not. I mean, it depends. I guess it depends on if I enjoyed it with my friends enough to keep trying. But I mean, if I didn't get that experience, I'd be like,
because I mean, it's a fascination, but it's not one that's strong enough like that you're going to devote money and time to unless it's like really near and dear to your heart.
You know, there's something that connects you. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting to say the least. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to do a part 2 to this whole, the different manifestations in the spirit world. But, I don't know, I guess, I don't know, it just really makes you think. There's just so much out there that you could cover. See, when I think about it, I keep thinking about, like, animal spirits, you know? Whether it's like a domestic animal or a wildlife animal, I mean, that's a non-human spirit. They're a living creature, too. Yeah, they don't have the conscience that we do, you know, but they're still alive. And sometimes people talk about like their dog or their cat, more or less a more domesticated animal that has an attachment to a human or something. They can sense their spirit sometimes, like they come back to reassure them, come visit them. Maybe they don't want to leave until their owner, you know, their friend passes away and can move on with them. Whatever that connection may be, I don't know, but I have read articles like that before. Like the Tunnelton Tunnel, for instance. There's a story about one of the maintenance men from the late 1800s, early 1900s that got hit by a train. He had a lantern, but he also had a small dog that would walk the track with him to make sure everything was like, you know, in good condition. Well, the man and the dog both were ran over and killed. And the sightings of the man that was decapitated there's also been a story alleged to you can see the dog kind of like trotting around or like something.
Maybe the dog was the howl.
It could have been. It could have, because the dog wasn't. It wasn't told about what type of dog was with the maintenance man.
I'm sure it was
So, I mean, I'm talking about like a smaller big dog. I don't know if it was a big dog like a German Shepherd or a small dog. You know, yeah, like a poodle, a Chihuahua.
It was Baxter.
Like Baxter,
those
the team dog.
back in the day.
But yeah, I mean, in that weird howl that we heard, it could have been a coyote. We weren't able to get out there and check it out, but it could have been a residual howl from the animal, that dog that was with the maintenance man. But I don't know. That's what I think of when it's non-human. And of course, we'll have to pick up back on this and dive a little further into it. But that's my input for non-humans, animals. But yeah, you know what? We've been going at this for about an hour, which I can't believe a whole hour has already gone by.
I'm happy.
It's not. Oh, are you serious, Ryan?
Stop that.
We'll remember that for the next podcast. Ryan will not be here. He's going to be sick.
He's going to be in timeout.
Yeah.
Pretty place in a couple minutes.
So we want to thank you guys for tuning in with us once again, listening to our paranormal banters. I'm taking Kaylee's keyword from her last podcast. I like that word, banter.
The playful banter.
Yeah, the playful banter.
And
That's my
you can
nice
always,
way of saying fighting.
you can always reach us on Instagram at P.I.O.T Paranormal or Facebook P.I.O.T Paranormal.
And
Now, is
YouTube.
it-
Or
Is it Pi with the
P.I.O.T.
dots on Instagram, or is it just the letters?
You can just search P.I.O.T Paranormal.
You don't need the dots.
Nope,
Are you sure?
Sometimes it matters.
no dots.
Okay.
What's our YouTube channel?
Schuler.
We're not. Ryan's going to put me on the spot for videos again. Ryan, videos are a beautiful delicacy and they take time. You know this.
Not 5 years.
It's not been 5 years. It's been like 2.5, but
5 years.
Are
it's
you
5 years in ghost time.
Our YouTube channel is still being worked on, but it's there under the same name. But we also have a website, an official website, where you can check out all sorts of fun little facts about us and other little details if you really get bored and you feel like you want to be close to our team.
But no videos.
But no videos yet.
And old pictures.
Hey, not all pictures are old, Ryan. I've uploaded
They're
recent
only
ones.
vintage, that's all.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Okay.
They're delicacies. It's a very important thing.
One day
What are you
when
doing?
we're famous, they will be in a museum hall somewhere.
I like that, Kaylee. See, I like Kaylee's attitude. You guys are like negative. You guys are like poltergeists. You're throwing around all of my
I'm just
ideas.
I'm just being a realist.
Oh, is that what that is? Yeah.
I'm an opportunist.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. You guys are.
And you are.
I'm everything. I can do whatever I want.
A hornist.
Thank you guys for tuning in once again. We're gonna try to get back on track here. You know, if you guys have any suggestions, concerns, comments, any topics you want us to cover, be sure to message us or comment. Let us know what you think. Also remember that everything we talk about is strictly opinionated and from our personal experiences. So we're not trying to tell you how to roll with the paranormal, but we're just throwing out some information. And yeah, I think that's some pretty good stuff. We're going to keep throwing out our own topics, of course, until we get a suggestion or a guest to come on board. And we'll start up with a part two.
If you want to be in our podcast, just give us a shout out.
Yeah, give us a shout out. We'll get you on here. Ryan's being loud, isn't he? But no, we're going to start up next time on our podcast with a part 2 of different manifestations in the paranormal. So I'm pretty excited for that. You got anything else, Ryan?
No, sir.
What about you, Nate?
Nope.
Kaylee?
Let's end this thing.
Are you sure? I'm having a good
I
time with you.
suppose so.
It's a good time.
I mean, it's been fun, but we all need to go do stuff, I'm sure.
She has a husband to get back to.
I have kitties to get back to.
Kitties are important.
They're the most important.
All right, well, as always, thank you guys for listening, and feel free to reach out to us. And until next time, we will talk to you guys then. As always, stay frosty.